What's up, YouTube? We're at a house today. We're gonna do a video for you on flipping houses, but really just real estate in general. I think it's super important that you know your numbers going into projects. And one of the biggest numbers that can vary is the cost to remodel, the cost to rehab, whatever it is, the construction costs. And so we just finished up this property. We ended up north of $100,000 on this house. And so I printed off my spreadsheet here of all my costs that I've tracked and everything. I'm gonna share with you guys some of the bigger expenses on this house, give you some tips on a few things, and then tell you how much exactly we spent for the total project. Okay, so going around the outside here, stucco that we did on the skirt of this property had a really old skirt and the wood was kind of rotting away. So we tore that all off. The most cost-effective thing to do was stucco. Rather than siding or any type of brick or anything. A lot of times you'll see brick on the skirts of these houses. Stucco is the best. And we spent $2,700 on that, labor and materials. Okay, so windows. Now, you guys, I'm in different parts of the country than probably most of you guys, and things cost differently depending on where you are. I'm also probably not getting the best deals I could on some of these things. I'm probably not getting the worst deals though either. So just take a lot of these numbers with a grain of salt. The windows on this house were $5,500 for both the upstairs windows and the basement windows. You notice that the basements have a larger window than a lot of times you usually do on older homes. Older homes will a lot of times just have skinny, narrow windows. So pretty good sized windows all the way around on the basement, but just shy of $6 grand on the windows for this. The landscaping here was horrendous. Where I'm standing right now on the side of the house, you could not walk through here at all. This was all brush, all debris, there was fencing, and we had to take down a huge tree that was right up against the foundation of the house that was leaning up over it. And so that was a big expense. We spent almost $9,000 ripping out all the trees, all the brush, all the overgrowth that was hanging up on the house, and then coming back in with some mulch and a small section of grass that's really overgrown, but the landscaping turned out really nice. We spent a really big chunk of money on that one. So when we bought this house, the lady who sold it to us, she'd been living here for like over 40 years. She told us a lot about what was going on here. She had not used the sewer with any solids for over 6 years, only water. So no flushing the toilet, no like rinsing your dishes down the stuff. The sewer line was completely shot. Luckily, we're only about 30 to 40 feet from the street. This house sits really close to the road, and so our sewer line didn't have a long stretch to run, but it did cost on the lower end of what sewer lines cost, which was about almost $8,000 with the permits and everything that we needed. And so that's what this is right here, is the clean out. And then you can see that there's just a little chunk of asphalt that was taken out on the road right there where we tapped into the sewer for the city. Before we step inside, I have an awesome relationship with my painting crew. They've done a lot of paint for me in the past. And so exterior paint, you know, trim, black and white, trim and windows, we probably spent in the range of like $3,500 for that. So let's go inside and go over some more stuff. Something else that ended up being a pretty good sized expense that you wouldn't anticipate was we needed 6 dumpsters on this property, roll-off dumpsters that we ordered. And that was around $2,000 just for those 6 dumpsters, about $300 a piece, a little more than that, plus extras if you go overweight. And on top of that $2,000, I also have a dump trailer and I did a few dumps as well. And so we had a lot of garbage that we had to haul away from here and everything, just because we basically started over brand new. All right, so doors, interior doors. I don't just get off the shelf doors at Home Depot, because a lot of times I'll need cut downs in the basements or custom sizes for previous doorways that are already framed in. And so I'll custom order these doors. I'm paying right now, it's fluctuating a lot with pricing and everything that's going on in the market, but I'm paying about $110 per door pre-hung, and I'm paying about $100, maybe up to $150 per door to have them hung and framed and trimmed out and everything. So about $3,500 for all the interior doors on this house, because we also did pre-hungs on all the closets too. Alright, so something that I feel like I get a pretty good deal on is my tile work. Between the materials and the labor on most of the bathrooms that we do, to have the tile installed, I'm somewhere between $1,500 to $1,800. Actually, on vanities, I used to go pretty cheap on vanities. I just get the cheapest, you know, white or gray vanity from the big box stores. But recently, I've started trying to go a little bit bigger, get as much counter space as we can. And so I'll buy the vanity as like a buildable cabinet from cabinet stores. And then I'll just get the top. Either we'll do a top from our granite or quartz guy, or I'll just get like a cultured marble top that's from Home Depot and throw it on top. You know, I'm spending more money on the bathrooms just because I feel like that's where people will notice the quality a little bit more. Electric fireplace off Amazon, 300 bucks, maybe 75 to 100 bucks to install it. You just gotta make sure you have it framed out properly with all the dimensions. Granite countertops right here. Between this countertop piece right here and then two pieces on the side of the oven over there and the 4-inch backsplash, about $1,700. Interior paint. You notice that we just do one color, one sheen, baseboards to ceilings across the whole thing. Because really it's easy to come in here with a stager or just a decorating company and they can throw up the little accent pieces to kind of give it a flair. And so we just do white on white. The market's kind of in our favor for that. That's kind of what's trendy right now. And we spend anywhere between $3,500 to $4,000 for interior paint, materials and labor on that. Okay, so now we're in the basement. This was an unfinished basement. First off, we had to do framing. Now, this is August of 2021. You guys know we just had like the biggest surge in lumber prices ever. And so the framing to get this done with materials and labor is gonna be higher than typical, I hope. I refer back to my budgets a lot as I do, you know, future projects. I go back to budgets and look. But I'm gonna keep in mind that the framing on this was pretty spendy. About $4,000 to frame out this basement. It didn't have any of this. Oh, and then upstairs we also opened up a wall and had to do a beam, so that's included in that $4,000. So a little bit steep right there. I hope that I'm not spending that much on future projects. Okay, so the big ones on this house were, you notice my low doorway? I barely clear it. The big ones on this house were HVAC. So the house, when we first got it, did not have ductwork running through the, like forced air running through the house. It just had like these space heaters that were hanging from the joists here in the basement, and then it was window units for air conditioning. So we put in a new furnace with central air, and then we had to run all the ducting throughout the whole house. About $6,800 for that on that bill. From there, you got your primary rough-in work, which is electrical and plumbing. So electrical and plumbing varies per house. Obviously on this one, you guys know we did a brand new sewer line. So we basically had to excavate a lot of the foundation work that we're standing on here and start from scratch. And so on the plumbing, we were around $4,000 to $4,500. That includes finished plumbing as well, but not the fixtures or any of the finishes. And then it's got a new water heater, pressure tank, everything's up to code. Then on electrical, you notice that we got recessed lighting here in the basement. So can lights throughout there, and new switches, new plugs, the whole thing. Like I said, we didn't really skimp on anything. This house needed it all, and so we replaced almost 100% of everything. When I do old houses, a lot of times the upstairs will remain ungrounded because the current electrical was like that in the first place. This is a fully grounded house. So on that bill, give or take, about the same as plumbing, probably $4,500 for electrical. All right, and then this was another one of the major expenses. This was almost a $10,000 expense. Drywall for the whole house. because upstairs, now check out these pictures that we're gonna throw on the screen. This house had been smoked in multiple packs per day over the course of like a 40-year time span. So we're talking smoke-filled, yellow-stained walls. My drywall guys were concerned that they wouldn't be able to cover with just a skim coat. And then on top of that, we were having to rip out a lot of stuff to, you know, rewire and everything. So in the end, we stripped it down just to the studs and we re-drywalled this whole house. For that bill, it was about $8,500 labor and materials for drywall in the whole house. That's hanging, mudding, tape, and texture. The accent walls are a really cheap way to add some flair to the houses. I'm guessing 500 bucks max on a small accent wall like that for the materials, the labor to put it together, and then there's a lot of caulking you have to do to get the seams to match and everything, but I think it's money well spent on the accent walls. I don't know, you guys can tell me what you think in the comments. All right, so one more thing that was pretty significant on this house was where I'm standing right now, there was actually like a build-on, lean-to kind of laundry room, like a mud room, but it wasn't standing on any type of foundation or anything. So we tore the whole thing down and just built a little deck right here. So this deck, probably $2,500 to maybe $3,000. But then that also brings me back to the point, like, you know, demolition, just to strip all the plaster, lath and plaster off this house, clean it out, haul it off and everything, you know, that's pretty significant in labor. So with all that said, if you're keeping track, these numbers don't add up to more than $100,000, but it's the little things too that matter. So there's stuff like appliances, all these light fixtures that I buy. I like to, you know, buy some snazzy light fixtures. Those are off Amazon. Fixtures for your plumbing. Concrete, you know, a little bit of concrete work here and there that we have to do on houses when we flip them. The flooring, I didn't even tell you guys what the flooring was. Rough numbers off the top of my head, maybe like $2,000 for carpet for the 4 bedrooms in the living room. And then this vinyl flooring that we have in here is probably another $2,000, you know. That's pretty rough off the top of my head. But then you got stuff like gutters on the house. Sometimes you have to replace like some soffit. You got a lot of labor in cleaning and just all the little stuff. Cabinetry. These are Lowe's cabinets in here, you know, and then another $500 to install those cabinets. So everything adds up really quickly. And what I'm trying to get to and teach you guys from my videos is to learn your numbers, track your numbers, study them, and then build budget. That's where you're gonna get good at buying properties from a good standpoint, basically from a profitable standpoint, and being able to make money and not lose money. So it's really gonna be the difference between those two things, making money and losing money, is knowing where your money's gonna go, how much you're gonna spend, and it'll save you from buying a property that's gonna sink you. Suffice it to say that we're gonna be about $124,500 on this property. A lot of money spent, well worth it. We definitely will make our money back. We bought this at a significant discount because we planned on spending a lot of money on this house. It's under contract now, it's gonna sell next week. We'll circle back. A lot of the properties that we do end up selling, we share the numbers on. And other than that, any questions you guys have, put them in the comments. Love to hear from you. Get any tips from you on things on places we can save money or places we should spend more money on to get the return on that investment. Other than that, guys, I think that's a wrap on this video.